The New Zealand Warriors have not played in the last week. They had a bye in the NRL. But this was a really good weekend for the Warriors organization because the New South Wales Cup Warriors had a win over Parramatta Eels in Sydney, and the Jersey Flegg Warriors had a win over the Parramatta Eels in Sydney. So now the Warriors are, well, they're still first in New South Wales Cup, 13-1 in reserve grade. They are 7-0 in away games. Undefeated in away games. But there's also a little rise for the Jersey Flegg team. They are now 8th. They've got 5 wins, 7 losses, and 2 draws. And I wrote in the paid section of our newsletter yesterday that Jack Thompson has... Jack Thompson. Who is Jack Thompson? He's an Aussie half from Newcastle who, as we know, joined the under-17s midway through the season last year, helped the under-17s win a championship, and then he moved up to under-19s, but he was out injured for the under-19 season, so he just started to appear in the halves for the under-21 team a few weeks ago alongside Jet Cleary. The Warriors have won 3 of their last 5 games, I believe, in which Jack Thompson has played. So they have 5 wins total for the season, and they've won 3 of their last 5 games that Jack Thompson has played. So when you add in his under-17 championship mahi and his quick rise into the under-21 team, then his impact on winning for the under-21 team, I think Jack Thompson's really good. And this goes like we've got a lot of Aussie halves here. We've got Luke Metcalf, Luke Hanson, Tanner Boyd, Jet Cleary, and Jack Thompson. And all the attention's going to be on Jet Cleary, as we've talked about before. But Luke Hanson is ranked ahead of Jet Cleary because he's playing New South Wales Cup far more often than Jet Cleary. And then you've got this other dude, Jack Thompson, who seems to be just as good, if not better than Jet Cleary. Because Jet Cleary's been playing under-21s all year, and they weren't winning that many games. But then Jack Thompson comes into the team and they start winning. I mean, none of this is like hardcore observational insight. It's just connecting the dots. And Jack Thompson's mahi with the Warriors has been fantastic. So I think Jack Thompson is a name, like he wasn't in my top 10 emerging youngsters because he is an under-19 player just grinding away in under-21s. And all my top 10 emerging youngsters, they've all played New South Wales Cup. So Jack Thompson wasn't in that tier. But Jack Thompson's doing fantastic stuff in the Warriors system. And while on the topic of that, though we've mentioned the halves, the Aussie halves, we've talked about that a long time. I will say that Tanner Boyd, he has won all 12 of his games in New South Wales Cup. And it's kind of crazy. Like, shout out to the Gold Coast Titans because Rotorua's Tukamihia Simpkins returned to NRL footy with the Titans in their win over the Seagulls. So the Titans did get a win, and that win coincided with Simpkins getting game time. But a backstory about Simpkins: he was recruited by the Cowboys coming out of Rotorua Boys High School, quickly left the Cowboys to join the West Tigers under Michael Maguire, and he made his debut with the Tigers in 2021. Didn't kick on, might have had a little off-field situation, and then he moved up to play Queensland Cup with North Devils. From there, he was, it's been said a bunch of places, the best prop in Queensland Cup. And he actually did a summer training with the Redcliffe Dolphins, or just the Dolphins NRL squad, via the connection with North Devils, but then he was signed to the Titans last summer. So the Cowboys recruited him. He left the Cowboys to go to the Tigers. And then Tigers shuffled him out. And then the Dolphins had a look at him. Like, he was playing for their reserve grade team. He was training with the Dolphins NRL squad, and he signs with the Titans. So it's a bit of a weird backstory there. But he returned to footy with the Titans in their win over the Sea Eagles. Looked really good. He's a big middle forward, hard-working, skillful, loves an offload. And to me, he seems like the type of middle forward that Coach Des Hazlewood loves. So I'm curious about Simpkins' involvement in the Titans top 17 moving forward. But my original point was Tanah Boyd was playing for the Titans. Aaron Clark was playing for the Titans. Now they're with the Warriors. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Titans all season they've needed a halfback. And the Warriors have Tanah Boyd now, and he has not lost a New South Wales Cup game this season. 12 games, 12 wins, and 16 try assists. 16 try assists in 12 wins for Tanah Boyd, who is, of course, a young Aussie half. Like, by young, I'm saying 25 years or younger, and he is behind Luke Metcalf in that category. But there's another Aussie who is not a half that you need to learn about in the Warriors system, and that is Brandon Norris, who is from the Northern Territory, Darwin, I think, Northern Sharks Junior. But he played his junior footy in Brisbane, was some of his junior footy, because I think he was affiliated with the Broncos, so he was playing for North Devils, bring them up again, and then he was recruited by the Warriors. So that's another very nifty piece of recruitment by the Warriors in signing Brandon Norris, who has played a bunch of games at centre for the Jersey Flegg team. He's got 6 tries in 7 games. Very fast, natural outside back. So, I mean, that under-21s team, you've got Brandon Norris settling in at centre, and then you've got the halves combination of Jet Cleary and Jack Thompson doing a great job. One's from Penrith, the other's from Newcastle, and of course, you've got a bunch of other young Aussie halves in there as well. So it was a good weekend for the Warriors in New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flegg. I'm still fascinated by the young bench that the New South Wales Cup team has got, with Jacob Auloa stepping up to New South Wales Cup. Makaya Tafua, he's been out injured in recent weeks. He's kind of the next best dummy half behind Samuel Healy coming out of Christchurch. Below Makaya Tafua, we've got Jacob Auloa, who is from Auckland, Point Chevalier Junior. He played 29 minutes in New South Wales Cup in a big win, and he literally didn't have a run. But he did make 17 tackles at 100% though. And he is him and Makaya Tafua, I keep saying it, fantastic dummy halves because of how ruthless they are. Both of them can play small forward. Both of them love to smash blokes when tackling. Both of them can run the ball as middle forwards. Like, some of their try-scoring highlights are literally them catching the ball one pass off the ruck and just running and scoring a try. But they are both mainly hookers. And then you've got Jason Salalilo and Toby Crosby, who talked about them all season as well. Fantastic middle forwards. And before going into the NRL tier, I do want to lay this out. This was a fun exercise for me. This is a Warriors team consisting of local juniors who are all a bit younger. And I had to make a few. I had to get a bit funky in the halves because I said local juniors, young local juniors. Well, Jet Cleary is not a local junior. Luke Hansen's not a local junior. Jack Thompson's not a local junior. Tana Boyd's not a local junior. Like, they're all Aussies, you know, like, unless we're talking about the Warriors Redcliffe era, they're not local juniors. And so my halves combination for this team, because it is a very young team, I do want a leader. My leader is going to be Chanel Harris-Tavita. In the halves with Chanel Harris-Tavita, we have Wellington's Maui Winitana Patalaseo, who is creeping into, he's had a few games of under-21s, but again, a lot of Aussie halves in this category. So we've got a senior half, Chanel Harris-Tavita. We've got a young half from Wellington. Pretty confident that they will do the job considering the rest of the team. Let's go back to fullback. Can't select Tain Tuapiki because he's not a local junior. Came up through, I think it was, might have been Burleigh or one of those Queensland teams. So instead at fullback, we have Joseph Ratcliffe from Palmerston North Boys High School. Played under-19s earlier this year. Now the fullback for the under-21s. Very lively, very exciting. Fullback. On the wings, we have Dayon Amatuanai and Sio Kelly. Dayon Amatuanai joined the Warriors from the Panthers, but he is a local junior because he started with the Warriors before joining the Panthers and coming back around. Sio Kelly, I still believe his best position is centre, but freakish talent will get him on the wing. Centres, Ali Leotawa, Rocco Berry. Easy stuff there. Middle forwards, we have Dimitri Vaimonga, Tanner Stowers-Smith, and Jason Salalilo. Starting hooker is Makaya Tafua. Our edge forwards, Jacob Laban and Leka Halasima. That means on the bench we have Jacob Auloa, Iri Iramia, Kalis Fatialofa, and Toby Crosby. That is an awesome rugby league team. There's a couple, there's some really young players, Joseph Ratcliffe, Maui Winitana Patalaseo, but there's also a lot of NRL talent there and a lot of in-between talent that is going to play NRL. I'm pretty confident of that. So one more time, Joseph Ratcliffe, Dayon Amatuanai, Ali Leotawa, Rocco Berry, Sio Kelly, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Maui Winitana Patalaseo, Dimitri Vaimonga, Makaya Tafua, Tanner Stowers-Smith, Jason Salalilo, Laban, Halasima, Jacob Auloa, Iri Aramia, Kalis Fatialofa, and Toby Crosby. I love that team. That is an awesome rugby league team, and they are all local juniors rising up through the Warriors system. Staying in this level, I'll just divert away from the Warriors, but we'll stay in the Kiwi-NRL junior tier because we had Te Huranui Twiddle was playing for the Eels in New South Wales Cup. Fantastic fullback from Turanga Waiwai. He is the premier Kiwi-NRL junior at the Eels, and his best position is fullback. Very slick fullback. Great passer, good runner, and has a little bit of number 6 as well. And in the number 6 position, I think he's actually quite similar to Dylan Brown. Similar playing style. There's also a Palmerston North boys factor because Joseph Ratcliffe, fullback in my local junior Warriors team, he's from Palmerston North Boys High School. There's also Kylam Vunipola, who's from Palmerston North Boys High School, and he is playing for the Broncos in NRLQ, which is their under-20s competition. For those who don't know, there was a completely adequate under-20s competition, under-21s competition in Queensland. The QRL stopped that competition, and then a couple years later, they came up with another competition because they needed to align Queensland Rugby League with the under-21s of New South Wales. It's like, you already had that sorted, but I don't know. So Colin Vunipola, he played one game off the bench, and I think he played another game off the wing for the Broncos in that team. And then there's also Ryder Crosswell, who is a half in the Knights system. He's also from Palmerston North Boys High School. So that's a nice little cluster there. From that cluster, we go back to NRLQ. I need to get this name correct because it's a little bit tricky. But we do have Marley Igasan, who is playing for the Broncos as well. I think he started one game at edge forward, started another game in the middle, and he is from Tauranga, and he is a goal-kicking forward. He's been in the Broncos system for a couple of years now, coming out of Tauranga. Otamotai Jr., who was I think he won like 3 player of the tournaments in a row for the Māori tournaments, like age group tournaments in Aotearoa. You seem to have something funny to say about goal-kicking forwards.
Oh, I was just going to say Josh Pupley, carrying on that lineage, but it's okay. I withheld it, but whatever.
So yes, Marley Igasan. I think he's the best Kiwi NRL junior playing in NRLQ. But another player to watch out for, aside from Kylum Vunipola, is Luke G. Loy. He's got a couple different variations of his name floating around there. He's played Māori tournaments as well as playing for Waikato in the National Premiership. So all I know about him is he's from the Waikato and he's got a few different names, but he's known as Lukji Loy, and he's playing edge forward for the Titans. The Titans have also had Meihana Pauling, who is a Horswell junior who actually played for the Warriors in the SG Ball season earlier this year. So watch out for Marley Igasan. He's a very high pedigree junior, similar to the Jordan Ricky and Xavier Willison pipelines. The Broncos love that type of forward, high pedigree, supremely talented. They recruited Jordan Ricky while he was still in Christchurch, but he left Christchurch once he finished school, won awards, multi-tournament MVPs, everything. And then they recruited Xavier Willison. That was a deep cut for recruitment from Aotearoa, and Willison actually moves over to the Gold Coast to go to school. So I think Marley Igasan, he might be doing a bit of schooling there as part of the Broncos system. Going back to Palmerston North Boys, we've got Ryder Crosswell. He's playing for the Knights, or he was playing for the Knights. And this brings us into the Kiwi NRL Knights. So we know Elijah Salisa Leao-Moana, he's already made his NRL debut for the Knights this year. The Knights also have Francis Manolelua. I reckon he might make his debut this year. Edge forward for the Knights, who they recruited from the Panthers. And also Sasaya Latu Mangere East Jr. He has moved. He started the year in under-19 SG Ball on the wing. Now he's playing on the wing in New South Wales Cup. Can play a little bit of centre, but he has settled into that role for the New South Wales Cup team. But the main thing here is that the Knights under-21 team, their Jersey Flegg Cup team, this week, or last weekend, that played against the Roosters, they had half of their team as Kiwi NRL juniors. A little bit more, because there were 9 Kiwi NRL juniors in the Knights under-21s team. There was Cullen Gray at fullback. He's from Whangarei, Hikarangi Jr. Hami Loza and Ryder Williams in the halves. So both halves are from Auckland. Ryder Williams Maris Jr., formerly with the Titans. Hami Loza, split time between Mangere East and Otara. 2 halves and the fullback, they're from Aotearoa. You also had Tamakai Moana Whare Aorere and Bailey Carmichael as middle forwards. They are both from Te Puke. Whare Aorere is actually a Te Puke junior, and Carmichael's from Te Puke, but he went through Rotorua Boys High School. They also had Takayo Cranwell, Linwood Jr., Xavier Lynch, Halswell Jr., Jaden Harris, who is from Kohu. I think he's a relation to James Fisher Harris. He's listed as a Hikarangi Jr. And on the bench was Ezekiel Aeti Hornby Jr. So that's 9 players from Aotearoa in the Knights under-21s team. We got 2 from Northland, Helen Gray, Jaden Harris. We had how many from Christchurch? Ezekiel Aeti, Xavier Lynch, Takayo Cranwell. 3 from Christchurch, 2 from Te Puke. Both halves are from Auckland. That kind of sums up the Kiwi-NRL vibes nicely there. They were playing against the Roosters, and the Roosters had Jackson Stewart, Hornby Jr. from Christchurch, and Philip Lava-Kiaho, who is from Wesley College. We go, okay, the Warriors under-21s, they were playing the Eels. The Eels had Dakota Kakoi, Linwood Jr. from Christchurch, and Aiti Samuelu from Mangere East. You combine 2 players from the Eels, 2 players from the Roosters. That's 4. That's not as many as the Knights had in their team just by themselves. That was pretty ridiculous as far as the Kiwi NRL flavor goes. Aside from Te Huranui Twiddle, Kiwi NRL juniors who have settled into New South Wales Cup, or that I'm tracking on that New South Wales Cup tier, Sosaya Latu, I mentioned him. We got Cassius Tia, Mount Albert Jr., he is with the Bulldogs, and of course the big bopper Felix Fa'atili, also from Christchurch. And I think that's going to take us into the Warriors. Oh, a little bit of NRLW first, though, because I'm not sure if I've said this before, but I do have 5 young NRL wahine that I'm throwing out there ahead of the season. Jadika Tafua from Christchurch. She's with the Sharks, sister of Makaya Tafua. Fane Finau from Otara. She's in the Knights system. Trinity Tauiniai, younger sister of Alexis from Wainui Mata. She's going to be playing for the Dragons. She is awesome. Thought I wrote this down. Don't know if I did, so I'm going to have to go top of the dome. I can't remember. Avery Rose Carmont. She's with the Warriors. Otahuhu Jr. She's important because she's a dummy half, and I'm not sure. Like, the Warriors only have her and Capri Paikau as their dummy halves. So I think Avery Rose Carmont can get a lot of game time with the Warriors. I'm definitely missing someone, but that's all right. No dramas. We'll keep moving because I need to throw up someone as a cult hero status for the Warriors women's team. And this is very important when we are assessing what the Warriors may do in their return to NRLW. Who cares about the rugby union players, right? Like, we can't, as awesome as we know Michaela Brake will be, she is like, for her NRLW career, Michaela Blyde no longer exists. She is known as Michaela Brake, which is a good crossover with her changing of codes. We know she's going to be pretty solid, pretty good. But I can't say to listeners or rugby league fans the Warriors are going to be good in NRLW because they've got rugby union players. That's cool. They're going to help. They come from professional systems, but that is not a reason to raise expectations for success in rugby league. Having a Kiwi Fern fullback, Api Nichols, that's going to be really important. Having 2 ruthless middle forwards from rugby league, that's going to be important. Maiahu Moana, Harata Butler. And of course, Leishon Albert Jones is really good as well. That's a foundation element for hope and faith and optimism about the Warriors in NRLW. But there's another player, Emily Curtin. She is an Aussie half. So basically every Warriors team right now has an Aussie half in it. Because I think Emily Curtin is going to be the starting halfback for the Warriors. She is from, she spent time with the Eels and the Tigers. She's got a couple game-winning drop goals. At least one of them was to win a championship, like the under-19s or something like that. I think it was actually to win the New South Wales Women's Premiership a few years ago. So she's got that game-winning halfbacky stuff sorted. She's also a Muay Thai fighter. And she loves to defend. She loves to tackle. So you can say, oh, the Warriors, they signed Michaela Brake. Oh, the Warriors, they signed Patricia Maliepo. Oh, the Warriors, they've signed these Kiwi ferns. They also have an Aussie half who does Muay Thai and loves to whack people in defense and kicks game-winning field goals. To me, that smells like a recipe for a cult hero at Mount Smart, but also in Hamilton, because the Warriors women will be playing 3 games in the Waikato, which is especially funky considering how many players from the Waikato they actually have. Maya Hilmawana, Parata Butler, Capri Paikau, 3 of those leaders from Waikato. So Emily Curtin, she's not getting a lot of buzz. She's not getting the headlines, but I think she is going to be the starting halfback for the Warriors in NRLW, and I expect her to kick some field goals and maybe kick some players friendly ways, because we don't want to getting a red card and suspended. But she does Muay Thai. She's got a bunch of different fight highlights you can check out as well. She seems like she is destined for cult hero status at the Warriors.
Yeah, skilled Aussie half who kicks field goals and smashes people. In my head, as you're describing that, I'm thinking, like, what if you cross Luke Metcalf and Marata Niokore or something like that? You know, if that's not a recipe for cult hero status, then I don't know what is.
The one player I didn't mention for the NRLW, this is why it was annoying, because I forgot about Sarah Sen Oliver. She is a center with the Bulldogs, and she was, like many of these players, she was actually recruited initially by the Bulldogs. She is a Petone rugby junior who joined the Bulldogs. She's been playing reserve grade or women's premiership in New South Wales for the Bulldogs. She's going to be awesome as well. Righto, let me throw out some Warriors stuff here. 3 stats where the Warriors have improved each year during the 2 Andes era. Completion rate, 79%, 82%, 83%. Penalties conceded per game, 5.55, 5.12, 4.92. Dummy half runs per game, 6.4, 7.16, 9.61. So the Warriors, their completion rate has gone up with each season under Andrew Webster. Their penalties conceded has gone down with each season, and their dummy half running has gone up each season.
But their wins went up and then down and then up again, which is why some of that is interesting to think about. Like, because it felt at times last year that they, in dipping from the year before, they were maybe a bit too safe in how they were playing, particularly on attacks. Like, so completion rates going up, maybe they're not taking enough risks, maybe they're not throwing enough offloads or whatever. But they've gotten way better this year. and the completion rate has still gone up. You know, so it's interesting how these things like reflect off each other, because it's one thing to have like, if you have a high completion rate and you're losing games, that looks bad because you're losing games, regardless of the fact that it sounds like a good stat. But if you're doing that and winning games, it sounds like an incredible stat, and it's definitely been a clear way of how the Warriors have won a lot of games, is they just generally complete their sets better than their opponents, which is not even just in getting to the kick, it's what they do with the kick and stuff as well. And then the defensive set off the back of that and linking that all together. And that's just one of the three stats you highlighted there. Like, I mean, the dummy half runs, for example, and the way they just like are able to get through their sets, not just they're not making mistakes, with the meters that they gain through that and all that. It's that paints a picture of a very efficient team, you know?
Well, they are a very efficient team because they are currently tied for the fewest penalties conceded in the NRL, and they have the best completion rate. That is basically rugby league perfection, but of course, there's far better teams in the NRL than the Warriors. What you're saying there about the journey of these 3 seasons. So if we if we start with dummy half running, there's a small jump from 6.4 to 7.1. Then there is a bigger jump to 9.6. So they kind of go from adding 1 dummy half run per game to adding 2 more dummy half runs. Support runners. Now, we don't get lost in the nitty gritty here. There's just flow with the general vibe. Support runners goes 43.22 per game, 43.83 per game, then up to 46.61. The most important thing here, I think, as far as learning about how the Warriors play rugby league, is the decoy runners. Decoy runners goes 49.66 per game, 58.91 per game, 50.3 per game. So the season where the Warriors were bad under Andrew Webster, they had a significant jump in decoys. Now, when you combine that, so you're going this year to last year, well, last year to this year, whichever way you want to go. There's a big jump in dummy half runs and a big drop in decoy runs. This is, I think, a really important element of NRL footy. Last year, a lot of going sideways. A lot of shifting the ball to the cul-de-sac in the sideline. Respect to Shaun Johnson, that was my main frustration last season, was Shaun Johnson just shifting the ball to the sideline. This season, it's far more direct. You can go Wade Egan, dummy half running, 51 meters per game, 49 meters per game, 70 meters per game. So Wade Egan's added 20 meters per game from the first 2 seasons under coach Andrew Webster. Take out some decoys, add in a few support runners, because if you're playing direct, you need just support runners. And I think the Warriors this season, they're playing far more direct. It's far more up the guts. Chance Nickel-Klokstad averaging a career high 208 meters per game. More than he had in the Raiders during his excellent mahi there. He went from 188, 202, 208 during the 2 Andes era. Most of those runs are coming close to the ruck. Then you add in the speed of Aaron Clark and all the other elements that the Warriors have, all the other elements at the Warriors this season. And I think there's been a clear change in style, faster, more direct, and that opens up the space elsewhere. 2 players who I think are benefiting from that style of play are the halves. And we've talked about this before, the tries and try assists, right? One of the halves is leading them in try assists, the other half is leading them in tries. I'm going to take this further, and I can't be bothered to see how this stacks up against other NRL halves combinations. But with my Aotearoa goggles on, I don't know if there's any other halves combination that has this. Both halves scoring at least 5 tries. Both halves with at least 5 try assists. Both halves with 200 or more kicking meters per game. Both halves tackling with 88% efficiency or more. Both halves averaging, we'll say, 60 plus meters per game. So we're expanding on that try assist balance. And I'm saying they're both doing 200 plus kicking meters per game. They're both pretty good tacklers, 88% or higher. And they're both running the ball for at least 60 meters per game. Most NRL teams, they're going to have one bad defender in the halves. They're going to have one half who loves to run the footy. The other half loves to kick the footy. The Warriors just have 2 halves doing lots of stuff. And I think that's another key factor in their success so far this season. Something, well, 2, like, I don't know how to describe them. They're just like thoughts in my head. I was going to say the whakapapa of passing, but I can't be bothered going too far into history. So I can't say who was the passing forward for the Warriors in 2005, but I can say during the 2 Andes era, there is a passing genealogy, which goes Tohu Harris, Dylan Walker, Aaron Clark. And based on my hype from recent weeks, I think you go Aaron Clark, Dimitri Vaimonga. But there is a clear genealogy of passes in that forward pack. Tohu Harris, Dylan Walker, Aaron Clark. Maybe Dimitri Vaimonga. Then there's the main versatile players in the team right now. Kurt Capewell, Adam Pompey, Marata Niokore, Leka Halasima. Capewell, easy mahi there. We all know what's happening there. Adam Pompey's playing wing centre pretty easily. And whenever there's a drama with the outside backs, it's Pompey who plugs that hole. And when I did my youngster report for the Warriors, I did say that Adam Pompey's just straight up more reliable than Ali Leotau and Rocco Berry. And so you could say he's better. Because he's always available. He plays centre and wing equally as well as each other. Whereas Rocco Berry and Ali Leotau, they're basically just centres right now. And they're basically not playing right now. Because they're always injured. Marata Niokore plays edge and middle. Leka Halasima plays right edge, left edge, centre, middle forward. So it's not just one player who has versatility in this Warriors team. There's 4 players right there who can play 2 positions at a pretty high level. And I haven't even said anything about Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who is the guy who started all of this in my head because he plays fullback, centre, wing at an 8 out of 10 level. The one player, so like there's a clear trio in the passing. Tohu Harris, Dylan Walker, Aaron Clark. And then I'm curious about the Dimitri Vaimonga. Versatility, we've got a clear quartet. Capewell, Pompey, Niokore, Halasima. Then I'm curious about Jacob Laban. Because Jacob Laban, his best way to getting a bench role this season, in the second half of the season, will be if he can play middle forward. But I actually can't, now I'm thinking about it, it's the versatility of Capewell, Niokore, and Halasima that then allows Laban to just settle as an edge forward. So I'm curious about how that looks for Laban. Is he just going to be used as an edge forward? and maybe he starts and allows Halasima to come off the bench? Or is he just going to be on the bench and give Niokore or Halasima a rest? Is Laban going to be on the bench playing middle forward and edge forward to allow Halasima to stay at edge forward? But the passing and versatility is clearly a fundamental of Andrew Webster's teams. And then it's about how do these players fit into that style, that system.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to add to that. That's a nice summation of how yeah, I guess the ability to be both the efficient team that we've talked about the Warriors being so far this season, just like the from the overall perspective, but then to within that have players shifting between roles and maintaining that efficiency as a team is first of all like the proof that those players are able to do that. It's the success that guys like, Capewell playing in the centers and whatever have been able to maintain when guys are out injured. Like the team is able to continue doing what they would do with their top 17 without when certain players are missing, because other players are capable of just like slide across, not just do your job, but do their job instead, and someone else can do your job if that's how it works out. And yeah, they've it's like the same thing as the stat things. When you're doing all that and you continue to win games, that's when you start to take notice of these things a little bit more so, because something is clearly working.
And you're the best reserve grade team in New South Wales.
That helps too.
Yeah.
And both of those teams seem to be just winning a lot in Australia as well. It's not just like home record that's doing the trick. Their away record is as good as their home record, I think, for both of them, as long as you count Vegas as not away but neutral.
Well, that's where it gets a bit tricky, just saying the away record from the ladder.
Yeah.
Because the Warriors, I think they were the home team for Magic Round.
Yeah, right.
And then there was a Magic Round in New South Wales Cup as well, where the Warriors were the home team, I believe. So that's where and then you're like, you've got one game in Las Vegas. So it needs to be an in Australia record, and that requires a bit more work to map that out. I can't do
the same troubles with the A-League trying to especially the Phoenix, who seems to like, it didn't matter with Auckland FC because they just won or at least didn't lose wherever they played, home or away, but until the last one. But Wellington Phoenix seem to have a massive disparity between home and away records, and then they also have their version of Magic Round, which gets in the way. Or the Phoenix used to play games in Auckland now and then, which actually they had a really good record when they played in Auckland, until they had to play in Auckland against Auckland. That changed things.
Final Warriors thing. Is Taine Tuaupiki a better winger than Dylan Watene-Zelezniak? I'll let that simmer. Because I did some work a few weeks ago, like average run meters and all like post-contact meters, tackle breaks. It was the advantage to Tuaupiki. And that's crazy. And that's where I just throw it out. Is Taine Tuaupiki a better winger right now than Dylan Watene-Zelezniak? Because I have been a bit underwhelmed by Watene-Zelezniak in his return to NRL. Tuivasa-Sheck, he's doing 20 runs for 200 meters. He's crazy. So you've got him and Shans Nickel-Klokstad, and then you've got Dylan Watene-Zelezniak going for like 10 runs, 70 meters. I was like, well, Taine Tuaupiki was doing more than that. What do you